Welcome to Linda's Creative Coiling. Today I'm going to show how to start a new basket using a drilled base. You can see I have a wooden base here that I've painted the back and I've decoupaged on the front so it's real pretty. And I'm going to start a basket using my waxed linen thread and my long leaf pine needles. The way I start, I have my needle, my darning needle threaded, and I've overwaxed my thread. What I'm going to do is take 3 groups of 3 pine needles, and I'm going to tie them together with a double knot. I want to offset them just a little bit. I'm going to tie them together in a knot. Keep them offset just a little bit. Tie the knot about 1/2 inch from the end of the pine needles. Double knot. Then I want to trim the end of this thread down to about 1/2 inch. My goal in this is to completely hide that little tail. So either when I'm starting or when I come back around, I want to make sure that tail is completely hidden because I don't like threads sticking out. I look at my base and decide where I want to start. I like to start about 2/3 of the way down on the left-hand side. You can see here my holes aren't exactly even, so I have a little bit bigger space right here. So that's where I'm going to start. I come up from the back through that hole, come up through the back, and I line my pine needles up along the edge of my base. And you can see I have to kind of work to get that tail hidden in there. Then I just go over the top, come in the next hole, make sure my thread goes over, and pull it down. Okay, and let's do one more. Do one more. Make sure your thread is tight. Okay, now I need to begin adding pine needles. When it's so skinny like this, sometimes it's easier to use just a single pine needle and maybe insert it toward the bottom of your coil so it's kind of close to the base. Maybe I can put in one more. Insert it right in there. Okay, now I just keep stitching in from the back, come up from the top, catch my finger. I'm going to put in some more pine needles if I can find a little skinny one. Here's a skinny one. I'm going to put that one in clear into the center because I want that head to be hidden. Okay, go in from the back, come out in the front. Make sure they stay pulled tight. You can use a clip on there if you need to. And I keep adding pine needles, but my goal here on this first row is I don't want my coil to be thicker than the wood on my base or whatever material your base is, because I find that if it gets thicker than that, then they start to go over the top and hide the edge of the base in an uneven pattern. I can hold that with my thumb to help hold it tight. And I just work my way all the way around, adding a few pine needles as I go. Here's a single. I'm going to add a single, insert it clear down in there so that the head is hidden. Clear down in there. I'm gonna get another one. Here's another one. These are extra long pine needles. I had a very sad thing happened. I had my very own southern longleaf pine tree, and it got blown over in a storm, and I had to harvest all the needles that were on it, which was so sad because now it's still alive, but I don't know how long it's going to last. But anyway, so since these were kind of new young needles, they are very long. So I'm just working my way around. You can see I'm watching how thick my coil is because I don't want it to get thicker than the wood on the base. That one has a big head. That's going to be hard to hide. When I make my bases, I have a scroll saw, so I can cut out my own bases, and then I'm lucky, I have a drill press. I got it for Christmas one year. People laugh about vacuum cleaners for presents, but I asked for a drill press. Funny, huh? Anyway, so I use my drill press, and when I'm using waxed linen thread, I like the holes in my base to be small. These are just 5/64 is the size of the drill bit that I use, 5/64. Now, if I'm going to use sinew, the holes need to be a little bit bigger. Sometimes when you buy bases from people, the holes are very large, and I don't like that, but there are things you can do to kind of hide part of the hole. You can take extra stitches through, or you can, sometimes I add little seed beads. When I'm done, I go back and add little seed beads to cover the holes. I like to drill my holes close together. Like I said, I don't like them when they're too big or too far apart. I try to make them about 3/8 of an inch apart. And I get lazy and kind of eyeball it, but you can make yourself a little template or something to use to make sure your holes are spaced around evenly. I'm going to just keep stitching here, adding pine needles as I go, watching the thickness of my coil. I don't like to put my gauge on until a row, probably a couple rows out, so that it bothers me. It tends to fall off and get in the way if I put it on too soon. So I just wait to put it on. All right, stitching around. See how those can go on to the wood if you're not careful. Oh, that's part of the design. Okay. All right, add another one. Because these are circles, your stitches are going to get farther and farther apart as you go out. And that's another good reason to have your holes close together when you start. Okay, now I'm almost back to the beginning here. Almost back to the beginning. This is a critical point because you can see I have these little heads of my pine needles, and I want them to be completely hidden. So what I'm going to do, I'm holding that real tight on the back there. What I'm going to do is trim those heads off at an angle. I'm going to trim them down at an angle so that they'll be easier to cover. And I want to, lost my needle. I want to spread my coil a little bit. I want to spread this out. You can see how I'm spreading the needles so that those heads get hidden. All right, here's the last empty hole. There's the last empty hole. Now, people have different methods. This is how I do it. I am going to use the swirling basic stitch. So for every stitch, I want to, from the back, go in on the left and come out on the right. You can see that little tie where I did the very first stitch and tied the pine needles together is hidden. But I'm still going to do that. I'm going to go in on the left and come out on the right underneath there. Okay. I'm going to pull that tight. Now I can just start stitching in a regular manner. I go in on the left and come out on the right. So I just keep stitching now in the regular manner. In on the left, come out on the right. You can see my coil is still pretty skinny here, but I can start building it up now much more quickly. And I'll build it up until I get to the size of my gauge. And the gauge I like to use is a 3/8 inch copper gauge. There are other sizes. You can use if you want a thinner coil or a thicker coil, but this is my favorite, my go-to. And you can buy these online from a couple sources. So I'm gonna wait to put that on when my coil gets thicker. But that's how I start a basket from a drilled base. I hope you liked this video, and you'll click the like, thumbs up, and leave a comment if you'd like to. And also subscribe to my channel, Linda's Creative Coiling. Thanks for joining me. Hope to see you again. Bye. Hi, I'm Linda. Thanks for watching my video. I hope you liked it. If you would like to subscribe to my channel, you can click the subscribe button and ring the bell, and that way you'll be notified next time I post a new video. Hope to see you soon. Thanks a lot.